Hi YouTube friends, welcome to this new series that I'm going to be calling The Good, the Bad and the Ugly. And today we're going to be talking about the classical guitar. So I'm going to talk about three things that are good about the classical guitar, three things that are bad, not so good, and three things that could get ugly about the classical guitar. So let's start with the three good things. Besides the beautiful sound that the classical guitar can produce, the guitar is a very portable instrument. You can take it to the beach, you can take it to your job, to the basement, upstairs, to the park, everywhere. I even tried to take a guitar to the Grand Canyon. I had it strapped to my back, but I didn't make it all the way down. I had to come up after a few hours of going down into the Grand Canyon. Okay, so that's the first good thing. It is very portable. The other thing is the guitar has 6 strings, so it's a polyphonic instrument. It's considered by a lot of players to be a miniature orchestra. So you can play with your fingers, you can play up to 4 notes individually, and then if you strum, you can play up to 6 notes. So you can do walking bass, play chords, play melody, a lot of different colors and textures. So the guitar is a mini orchestra. Okay, and then the last good thing about the classical guitar that I'm going to mention is you can play a lot of styles. You can play country, you can play bossa nova, samba, classical, flamenco, and if you have electric guitar, you can play blues, heavy metal, rock and roll. And even with a nylon string, there's a lot you can do. Many styles you can play. Okay, now let's talk about 3 things that are not so good, 3 things that are bad about the classical guitar. Okay, the first thing is the guitar has a small dynamic range compared to trumpet, violin. The guitar is, if you are standing, I don't know, about 10-15 feet, it's really hard to hear. So for that, the remedy is amplification. Okay, so you get an amp, you put a microphone in front of your guitar, or have a guitar with a pickup, and that's a remedy to the small dynamic range that the guitar has. The second bad thing about the classical guitar is that it's very difficult to play in a concert setting. When you are in a concert, sometimes your hands will start to shake, and you need 2 hands to produce a sound. You need the left and the right hand. So when your hands are shaking, and then sometimes the guitar tends to travel in your leg and move around, that's why a lot of classical players use something like this to have the guitar to have more stability, so the guitar does not move. So it's very difficult to perform classical guitar when you're nervous and your hands start to shake and the guitar start to move. That's a bad thing, definitely. It takes years to master performing solo classical guitar, and I can tell from experience. And then the other thing that is bad about classical guitar is because when a guitarist starts studying the classical, start learning the music of Taraga and soar, and a lot of times, when we're asked to play for people, we play those pieces and people can't really relate to that repertoire. That repertoire was created a few hundred years ago, or even repertoire that is created 80, 90 years ago. People can't relate to that. It's just too old. Those were times in which there were no streaming services, no radio, no TV, the music of soul and Taraga. People can't really relate to that type of music. And a lot of times, because of that, the guitar becomes just a background, music, which is a shame, and I'm going to talk about a little more about that in the 3 ugly things. Okay, so let's go into the ugly things. The first ugly thing that I see on the guitar that I want to cover is that a lot of times guitarists tend to choose pieces to perform that are not really at a performance level. What does that mean? Just because you can play a song in the practice room and you can get through it does not mean you're going to be able to get through it in a performance. If you're making any mistakes in the practice room and then you have to redo a song and fix mistakes and things, those songs are not ready to perform. An old teacher of mine used to say that you want to have a command of a song a year before you perform it. Because when you perform, you're going to get nervous. And then all those things that were questionable, and that, oh, I made it through rehearsal 10 times out of 20, 50% of the time. During a performance, you're going to get nervous, you're going to forget, the hands are going to start to shake, and it's going to be a disaster. And I can tell you from experience, many times during my first 10 years, maybe I've been playing for 4 years now, I thought I knew pieces. Oh, I'm going to just play this piece, I love it, and I can do it. And then all of a sudden, once I got in front of people, my hands were shaking, and it was like another person was playing the guitar. I had no control of my hands because of the nerves, and then at the end you feel so bad because you didn't really perform up to what you thought it was your level. But practice room level is not the same level as performance level in front of people. You gotta play pieces that you have way under control. If your performance level is here, your concert level is gonna be a lot lower. Okay. The second ugly thing about the guitar, I see a lot of in master classes, and a lot of guitarists focusing on little details. It's almost like people get lost in the weeds, and when it comes to interpretation, and do it louder here, do it softer. When players are lacking technique, or maybe they don't have the greatest tone, a lot of times guitar teachers focus on details of interpretation, and then one teacher has one way of interpreting a song, and then another teacher has another way, so the student is kind of going back and forth between the different ways of interpreting a piece. I think that could get ugly, because a lot of sometimes the people are the teachers will impart the way of interpreting pieces in which, instead of getting the student to the level of a solid technique and good tone, and then the student can learn to interpret pieces more their way later. And then the last thing I want to mention that I think it gets ugly is what I mentioned before. When the guitar becomes sort of a wallpaper music in a restaurant or in a gathering, and then a lot of times we start thinking, okay, this music is people don't understand it, they can't relate to it, but this is better music, it's more complex and all that. And I feel like there's music for a lot of different occasions. And I feel the reason I say that's ugly is because sometimes people spend their whole life playing the instrument, and they just become wallpaper in a setting of a party or a restaurant. So I think we need to play the music of Soar and Lauro and all those songs, but we also need to do more work. We need to play pieces that are newer, and make an effort to seek out those arrangements, or arrange pieces ourselves from, I don't know, Adele, Katy Perry. Find ways of arranging newer pieces, so people, when you're playing, people can recognize, oh, that's a song that I heard, or what is that song I can recognize. If we go back to playing the music of the people that are sort of starting playing guitar, your Carcassi, your Soar, Giuliani, and it's going to be really hard for people to relate to those songs. I think we should still play them, but we should mix it up. We should mix up newer arrangements, maybe throw in a Beatles song and some jazz standards, and then some newer music, or even children's songs. Something that people can recognize, something that people can hum, and then mix up the classical repertoire with some of the other music that people can recognize. With this series, I'm trying to stir the pot a little bit and have some thought-provoking ideas, so we can champion the guitar better, so we're not relegated to background music, so more people can pay attention to our playing, and we can reach a bigger audience. Okay, give back and be blessed. Thank you for watching. See you in the next video. Bye bye.